Who's ready to win the day in sports? I know you are. Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com, Monday through Friday, noon to 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm Justin Fensterman, and let's break everything down from a fantasy sports perspective. What is going on, everybody? My name is Justin Fensterman, and welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily here on the Elite Plus Network, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Give me a follow at Fensty Sports, at Fensty Sports, Fensty Sports, on X and Instagram, and in our Discord at FantasyGuru.com, at Fensty, Fensty. Always being a great time to be a sports fan here at FantasyGuru.com. For those that don't know, we've got an incredible deal going on right now and want to make sure you know where you can find all of our media shows, including this show every single day. Noon Eastern, Ray Flowers takes care of Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Yours truly, the Midweek Madness edition here on Wednesday with various analysts joining us throughout the week. On Tuesdays, Armando Marsal joins Ray. Rich Maletto is going to stop by. The Fantasy Bosco is going to stop by today to talk about some players that we should hang on to, other players that maybe we could get rid of when it comes to getting our fantasy football teams organized and getting you ready for Week 10 double digits. Let's get that focus on. Let's get ready. Let's dominate. That's what we do when you're part of the Elite Mafia. You can also, by the way, with Thursdays, Tyler Beaker joins Ray Flowers. And then Russell Clay joins Ray on Fridays. Again, noon Eastern all week. You can also catch me on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio every Sunday, Elite Sports Game Time with Russell Clay, 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern. Just recapping the day that was and getting you ready for Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football too. And then our big sister show, the Elite Sports Show, the Coup de Grace on Fantasy Sports Radio, SiriusXM Channel 87. Jeff Mans hosts it Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern. And you can also catch Jeff on the Fantasy Football pregame show every Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern on Fantasy Sports Radio. So as you know by now, what we're doing is we're going to be talking a little basketball on Wednesdays, where 98% of the time, that's going to be when we have the biggest slate of games. So it's a good time to flex our muscles at FantasyGuru.com and talk about some of the other sports. Ray does it in season when it comes to baseball, and now I will do it in season when it comes to basketball. But it's not just going to be an NBA show. Rich Maletto is going to stop by, and then we're going to chop it up all football. The rest of the season, hybrid edition, football and basketball. And then once we're in that conference championship area, then it's going to become an all basketball show until the springtime. And then that's how it goes here on Wednesdays, but not forgetting about that football right there. Excited to hang out with you guys. And I'll be on, by the way, the write-up for DFS NBA for this split slate that we have. And we're going to have a lot of that. DraftKings is going to do everything they can to take advantage of that East Coaster audience that they have and isolate themselves from FanDuel by not including the later games. We have this again today, 11-game main slate on FanDuel, 8-game slate on DraftKings. And when I do my write-ups, I often refer to both, formats often referred to both when it comes to strategies, because just like when you have a team like the Lakers the other night, and then you're playing two different games when the Lakers are only on one of the slates, then that incorporates two different strategies. Which players from the team that has all of their starters out do we look to play, and so on and so forth. And I'm going to go over that today. I want to say hello to everybody out there here. Number one, I want to say hi to Darkness here. Good morning to you. And then, wow, look at this. Ray looking great today there. All that, look at this. You see, this is the Ray Flowers probably from about 15 years ago. So that we went back in time right there. Then you've got, of course, Porzingis. How could Porzingis only be 7'2" and only get 2 rebounds? That's the thing with Kristaps Porzingis. Kristaps Porzingis, which means Onyeka Okongwu is still going to have major value here. But Kristaps Porzingis at this point is a spacer and stretcher, and he wants to hang on the arc. That's really what he does. He breaks easily, so he's not going to battle. And when the Hawks got him in this trade, that's kind of how they're incorporating him. even though he's coming off the bench, Onyeka Okongwu is really the guy to focus on when it comes to who's going to be doing the blue-collar dirty work. That's not Kristaps Porzingis anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, you're 7-2 and getting 2 rebounds. I just don't understand that. What's going on, Batterman? How you doing? Good to see you. Good to see everybody in the chat right here. Let me also show what's going on here. For those that don't know, by the way, because I've talked to you in Discord about this, we do have these tools at fantasyguru.com. So for those that are wondering things like ownership, we have these tools in our data section. If you go to the data tab and you go to basketball, you'll see all these tools headlined by the Delta tool that we have from our very own Rob Brink, the model. He has it in there, which shows ceilings that are higher than normal because of injuries, injury replacement players that will be getting that higher ceiling, and it'll get them a better chance to hit that value. And that's what we're talking about when it comes to the Delta model that we have. We also have models for props there in our data section too. That's really feeded and regulated. So with that, you can check out those tools too, because I know a lot of you ask, it's hard to find these things all over the place. We can find advanced stats at NBA.com, but that's where we come in as analysts, as part of the basketball team. We are to bring those stats to you in our writing and our analysis when it comes to being in Discord. And that's half the battle, by the way. That is half the battle when it comes to DFS NBA, is being somewhat available, or at least aware that all of a sudden players can get ruled out just like that. And sometimes we bite on the starter who's just replacing the player, but then other times we could see players coming off the bench that can actually be in a more advantageous spot. Like, for instance, when Anthony Edwards was out, it kind of correlated to Naz Reid. And with Naz Reid coming off the bench having a bigger role, that's when we tried to strike with him a little bit, along with Julius Randle. And that worked out well the other night because of that. But now Anthony Edwards, who reportedly went through shoot-around, now he's coming back. So that's going to divide up all of our interest when it comes to Minnesota tonight, because it's, do you take advantage of Anthony Edwards just coming back, but with all that usage he soaks up, can we trust any of the other guys? So with that, I'll tell you this, when it comes to Anthony Edwards, that's a guy that when he's now questionable like he is, all the fun we were having with Minnesota, now we push them to the side. We don't try to get too cute, especially on these big slates. We can go in many different other directions here. For those that only have, by the way, a few minutes to hang out with us when it comes to fantasyguru.com and Fantasy Sports Daily, again, every day, noon Eastern here. Let me show you what we have cooking here before Rich Maletto joins me. You get a little bit of what I'm talking about. Maybe you're just stopping by, you see a few players of interest, and then later on, because this episode is posted at fantasyguru.com, you can go back and be like, wow, Fensty's talking about X player here in the doc, and you can watch at your convenience. We post all of our episodes on the site in the Elite Plus network right after that. So let's talk about the highest totals, because for me, as you've heard on Fensty's Basketball Diaries, my basketball podcast that I have coming out every week, every Thursday, new episode drops at fantasyguru.com. I talk a lot about the process so you all out there know and you can learn what exactly we should be looking for when investing in a player for the evening. So I start with those totals. Some of our analysts do the same. And with that, Miami and Denver, very interesting. Why? Because Miami has been running at a very high octane pace all year, something that I'm not used to seeing, really. And now we have to take advantage of that. And that's where, when you have Nikola Jokic on the slate, Miami does have some size, but with that speed, I like it. And I especially like Jokic on transition. I like Jamal Murray a little bit better on transition in this matchup. So that's where I immediately look. Instead of looking at Miami, do we go Bam? Do we not go Bam? Do we try to make something out of Powell and Andrew Wiggins? Very hard to do. Sometimes can be a little scoring dependent, although before he got hurt, Powell was doing a much better job rebounding. And then there's Davion Mitchell. And we all know the experience here. Had a bet on him after he was scoring very quickly. Didn't do anything. Hard to track outside of assists. I view pretty much anything else beyond 10 points, let's just say, or like, you know what? Too generous. 8 points. That is an added bonus. You're paying for the assists at that point. Is it worth it? Sometimes it is, but in this matchup on the Miami side, that's where I really want to look at that Denver side. And if I'm going to stack tonight, then I'm going to probably run it back with someone from Miami, whoever that might be, trying to go with someone on the cheap. When Norman Powell was out, Simone Fontecchio was somebody that was under 4K that we kept going back to. And shooters are going to shoot. And at that point, when you're under 4K, you don't need a ton of points in order to hit value. We always want to smash value. But for me, what I look for in a play, what I look for in especially a core play, I want that 5x return. There's some nights we could go balance, build a little safer, and say, you know what, this guy doesn't have an 8x floor, but still, we know that in this matchup, in this game environment, this player can get there. And that's why tonight, with at least knowing we have the pace on our side, because Miami's not a piss-poor defense. They're very well coached by Spo. So with them being well coached, with them still being able to play defense, it's not going to be a walkover for Denver. But the guys that are going to help Denver run, including Jokic, that's where I'm very interested. Last year, I used to try to build more balanced lineups. This year, I'm finding myself trying to get that top 4 play, which often means it's going to be a top 4 price point, into my lineup and building from there. Because here's how you got to view it sometimes. When it comes to a guy like, let's say, Giannis, we didn't work out well. We actually went with Giannis back-to-back nights in cores. First night worked out fine. Last night did not work out well. I did not expect Milwaukee to completely get their ass kicked by the Toronto Raptors. This team has a problem right here. Maybe I'm just undervaluing Toronto because Toronto, they're not a good boarding team. They don't play great defense. And Milwaukee, to me, is not anything I'm going crazy about. But to be down by 20 points most of the second half, I did not have that on my bingo card. In that, what was it, a 2.5 point spread. High octane game environment. I was ready to feast all over it. It was one of those things because Giannis wasn't burnt down from the other night where he played 32 minutes. I said to myself, high octane environment, trying to get one of those top plays. He's the one I felt I could trust, best optics behind him. I just didn't expect Toronto to be putting it on Milwaukee like they did, especially early on in the second half. It was like, because I also wrote up bets with Giannis the last 2 nights. I was more worried about them blowing out the Pacers than I was the Raptors-Bucks being a blowout. Sometimes that happens. We're still learning about these teams. It's weird. It's almost like it's been a month of NBA. It's only been a couple of weeks. It's been 2 weeks, and that's it. This is the beginning, or I guess we're almost halfway through week 3. So we're learning things, and not all trends that we see now are going to continue. Last year, Denver, good team, but they gave up a hell of a lot of rebounds, and they were playing very quickly early in the season. We were betting against them every night. We kept going back to the apple tree. The greedy guys that we are, greedy guys and gals, going back to the apple tree every single night. Good matchup, pick the apple. Good matchup, pick the apple. And the apple came in the form of rebound props. We were getting those books every night for a while. And then what happened was they changed. And we tried going back there on lower numbers, and it wasn't working out. We are learning. That's what it comes down to. I am learning. I'm still learning. Betting the last few weeks, the first few weeks of the season, pretty lousy. I hold myself to very high standards, but trust me, I feel it too. I'm playing these plays. I'm researching and playing these plays, but I'm also learning. Do I cower and go away? No, I don't. I'm back at it the next night. That's what Warriors do. That's what we do. NBA is a marathon. And I wished for those that cover football, they had that luxury where instead of trying to fester over plays or wait until that one matchup where you have to figure it out, okay, we missed on these players tonight, clean slate. Here we go. 11-game FanDuel slate. Let's kick its ass. That's exactly what my attitude is. Because the NBA betting, which, by the way, at fantasyguru.com is not, as you see here, by the way, and I'll talk about our MVP plan. Our Fantasy Guru NBA team does not end when the regular season ends. Still putting bets in there. We're still playing DFS. We're putting in lineups. It doesn't end. And last year, that meant Game 7 of the NBA Finals. We were still putting bets out there. I went back and I remember looking right before the season started. Jeff Mans was putting bets out there. I was putting bets out there. We don't give up. That's my attitude. It's going to suck at times, but you know what? Then you get a big hit. And when you sign up for that MVP plan, which, by the way, the MVP plan at fantasyguru.com for $200, you get all access to everything we have except for football and baseball. Everything that we have, including NHL, which, by the way, for those in the Elite Mafia, if you want to see how we're doing in NHL this year, you go right into that Discord, right into that DFS NHL Discord, and you see what Jorge Pucks and Ryan Clifford are doing. Because I'll say this, someone won deep 5 figures last night. That's not I'm not trying to sell the $1 million dream. But in sports like that and how we do things here, you got to be committed to the process. You can have one big takedown, pays for that MVP subscription in one night. If you have that takedown in NBA or NHL. Anything that we have beyond football. Football has its own package right now. I'll put that one up there for those that are trying to get into football now. Maybe you have a team that's struggling. You're like, hell, I want to win. Let's get some DFS and let's get some betting going for the NFL here. Boom. Right here, the all-in NFL plan. Support at fantasyguru.com to find out how to get involved. Pretty cheap now. I know it's all week 10. NFL doesn't stop once the regular season ends. Remember that. Everything that we have. Support at fantasyguru.com for NFL specifically. The MVP plan I'm talking about, that one is for the other sports. And that one including basketball, including hockey. So with that right there, yep, he did hit. Exactly. A big time hit when it comes to NHL. And I love that. I'm so proud of our team for that because everybody works hard. We talk, we try to figure this out. It's still early. We've had some nice hits in basketball too, but we're still finding those trends. So other players that we're going to have to be on the lookout for is from the 76ers Cavs game. Still kind of waiting on to see what they do with Embiid. They're probably not playing Embiid, who played last night. You guys see what they're doing with him. These Sixers need to be in a close game. We actually hit an Embiid point prop last night because for me, he does very well against Nikola Vucevic, but with Chicago playing as quick as they are and not being good rim protectors, I thought he'd be able to do more inside. But one of the things I've noticed about Joel Embiid, he's not hanging inside as much. He'll start there. He has the lane. He'll turn, and he's massive to put it right up. Doesn't even need to do many agile moves. But if he doesn't have that open lane and he's looking, he's dribbling the ball back out. He's passing off and then setting a screen on the wing. So that's where we all have to be careful, especially in games where the Sixers could be blown out or the Sixers are heavily favored because they're going to try to keep Joel Embiid. He does not, unfortunately, look like he can handle more than 25 minutes. It was a good spot for him. But yeah, even 19.5 points for a Joel Embiid. Notice he just been going over and that's it. But I thought that we'd have a little bit more of a cushion, and we did. We saw when he's in there, you know he's going to be featured. But you got to be careful because that price point that he's at is very attractive. And he still doesn't look 100%. Just doesn't. I've watched him a couple of times. Just can't move the same. Can hit shots, can't move the same. Someone smaller than him is guarding him, he'll get the rebound. Someone near his size, someone with broad shoulders guarding him, that's going to be tough for him for a while until he's 100%. He's not 100% right now. So here's the deal with this one. This one has a 234.5 total between Cleveland and Philadelphia. And when it comes to Cleveland could be in a very interesting spot because if on the Sixers side, there's no Joel Embiid, and then on the Cavs side, there's no Jared Allen because he's questionable, Evan Mobley becomes a lot more interesting. If Jared Allen plays, though, and Darius Garland plays, which I'm expecting Darius Garland to play, we haven't seen him, Darius Garland being in takes any kind of usage away from Evan Mobley. And if I'm going to be spending $8K plus on Evan Mobley, even in this matchup, which, by the way, still GPP intrigue, but if they're full strength, then that makes it even tougher for me. It makes it tougher for me to trust Donovan Mitchell at above 9K. We also don't know how long Darius Garland is going to play. You'd have to think he'd be on some kind of minutes limitation, but he soaks up a lot of usage, time with the ball. That's what we're looking for. If he was out and Allen was out, Evan Mobley would likely be core for me at plus 8K. But for me now, we are all waiting. DeAndre Hunter, somebody else, by the way, that had been playing well that I think also will be impacted when Garland is fully back in the mix in a few games. He's also questionable too. So we're going to have to see how we're going to have to play this with this game as a whole. But that's where some of these guys like Edgecombe really start to pique my interest just a little bit. McCain kind of was just getting his way back there in his minutes limit that he had, but that adds another option to Philadelphia that we have to remember when Embiid is sitting, because when Embiid sits, we all start to think, okay, what are we going to do? Do we pay for Maxey, or is there someone of value right there? That's why I still think in this matchup, a guy like Kelly Oubre has some intrigue. We've seen the rebounding. We've seen him commit a little bit more on the defensive end that we haven't seen him in a while do, or most of his seasons. So he's been rebounding a little bit more. Let's just get the final word that he's not playing. Brooklyn and Indiana is another one that's very interesting for both sides, because for Brooklyn, they've got some value pieces right there, including Terrence Mann that's come through. And then on the Indiana side, because Brooklyn's defense isn't good, I mean, Pascal Siakam, yes, someone that's definitely a point of interest. But then you can even look at some of the guys like Jarris Walker, and hell, because Indiana has so many issues up front, and Brooklyn isn't the greatest up front either, but guys like Nick Claxton and Isaiah Jackson, who to me, relatively low ceilings, but Claxton has been good the last couple of games. And also remember from Brooklyn too, they can push a little bit against Indiana, especially those smaller lineups. With Indiana at this point, I mean, Shepard hasn't been great. Ray J. Dennis has been a little bit banged up. Pretty much everybody on that team banged up. Nembhard out. Nesmith, I think, is a little sneaky because in this game, because he hasn't been having as many issues with fouling. So I think he's also someone that's sneaky, but really with no Mathurin, with no Nembhard, for me, and no center, it kind of goes to guys like Siakam and Jarris Walker and even Isaiah Jackson that I have a little bit of interest in. So from the value side tonight, on Brooklyn, you got Claxton, but on Indiana, Jarris Walker, Isaiah Jackson are two that I'm definitely into tonight. You kind of see that game as, and you're like, yeah, you might not want to watch it, but that and the game environment that's presenting itself can make for good value plays in this matchup here. Washington, Boston. So Boston's going to be pushing the pace against Washington. But here's the thing about Boston. They're not as strong defensively as we've seen them. And that makes me intrigued by some of the Washington guys. One of the Washington guys, including Alex Sarr, who's going to be able to line up against Alex Sarr. Alex Sarr has added to his game. And watching Alex Sarr, you're seeing a lot more confidence. He's not settling for as many jumpers. He's working his way in the post. I noticed it off the ball too, where he kind of set the screen inside and then pop back out. And I'd be rolling my eyes. I'm like, dude, let this guy be inside. He's got some size. Hard guy to take down. This year, playing a little bit more inside, calling for the ball more, which has come with experience. And that's been someone that's been able to be a threat and do well against tougher opponents too, because let's not forget, against the bigger centers that are slow, he could take them out on the perimeter or right inside the perimeter. go around the curl, get himself a nice open shot. Inside, though, on the run, which Washington likes to push, he can run the floor and he'll cut, which I love seeing. I felt like he was just hanging at the arc a lot last year. So in this Washington-Boston matchup, I do like Alex Sarr from a size standpoint here. And then if you're looking at Boston beyond Jaylen Brown and you want to save a little bit, is it Derek White or is it Peyton Pritchard? From the speed and from what I think Boston's second unit could do, Pritchard could be in an interesting spot tonight. I'd not really like to go to Pritchard, but when I know that Boston's going to be on the run, I like it a little bit better. So that's what we're looking at when it comes to Washington and Boston. And then the final two games of the highest totals that I'll talk about here are Houston and Memphis, Utah and Detroit. With Houston and Memphis, with Utah and Detroit, that should be 231.5, by the way. With Houston and Memphis, it's very hard to go after Memphis, guys. Houston's one of the top defenses, one of the best rebounding teams. Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to have a very tough time with Alperen Şengün. We'll see what ends up happening with this front line. Jabari Smith, Steven Adams, both questionable, but they've still got big guys. If both of those guys happen to be out, do I like maybe a Jaren Jackson a little bit better? As much as I can like Jaren Jackson, because with Jaren Jackson, you are really in need, desperate of the scoring. He's got such a low ceiling, and this guy has not hit for value one time this year, or at least given us the return that we want. Seriously, a guy like him, defensive stopper, should be grabbing rebounds. I never understood the inconsistency with that with Jackson. He's got size. He's like Brook Lopez. You don't understand. Like we were being asked in chat before, even Porzingis. Is Porzingis the meatiest guy? No. But 7'2", you should be grabbing some freaking rebounds. Jackson being what, 6'10", 6'11"? Nobody else really banging that post against him. He should be grabbing rebounds. But he hasn't been. And that's why it's so hard for me. And in this matchup, to me, if this is the matchup where he goes for 5X, great. But the pace isn't favorable. Houston's a tough team to battle. They've got a lot of size. They've got a lot of aggressive players. They're running front lines of 6'10" or taller. It's scary. And I don't want to battle that. I don't want to deal with that with Jaren Jackson. And even John Morant, I mean, you have that too. Here's the thing with John Morant. Amen Thompson's a good defender. And he's going to be all over him. I really, for the most part, outside of, I'm talking like if Şengün was out too, okay, maybe we can sneak something in from a size standpoint with a banger. That's cheap. But to put in a big investment for Memphis against Houston tonight, I'm just not interested in that. I'm not. I don't like to attack Houston. I don't like bad game environments. Yeah, you can think about it from a GPP standpoint, but at the same time, no. That game, the Knicks Timberwolves game, it depends. We're going to have to see with Knicks Timberwolves because Karl Anthony Towns is questionable for the game. So is Mitchell Robinson. The Knicks can be without size. Okay, now I'm a little bit more interested, but going all the way back to circle back to the start of the conversation, Anthony Edwards is looking like he's going to play and not be limited. And that means it could be a wash for just about anyone, except maybe Naz Reid gets saved a little bit, and maybe Randall. Randall, he's admitted, he's more focused, and you see it on the court. He's playing better. He's stopped partying. He's not into that anymore. And we're seeing better basketball. While Edwards was out, he was good. And you know what? People ask me, and this is the last thing I'll say, I get asked a lot about revenge narratives. Here's the thing with me and revenge narratives. You're either all in or you're all out. You can't have different rules for different players. Me, I'm all out. I am all out on revenge narratives. If they happen, do I laugh? Yes, I do. To me, when it comes to some of those trends in football, can I see it? Can you see it a little bit more clearly? National Tight End Day, someone who always gets featured on that day. Okay, you can go there. But with some players, for instance, like Kevin Durant, who have been on 6 teams now, is every team a revenge narrative? To me, when it comes to my analysis, I'm looking for the matchup. I'm not looking just because of a revenge narrative. Just never been my MO. I keep it to the analysis right there in the optics. Let's talk a little football now. Talked a lot of basketball here. This is what the show is going to be on Wednesdays for the rest of the NFL season and the postseason. It's Rich Maletto, the fantasy Bosco. What's going on, Rich? How's everything, man?
It's going, man. I mean, we got work going on at the house, so luckily I don't work from home. My poor wife and the dogs are going nuts with all the nailing of siding and roofing going on, so that's always fun. But NASCAR's done. We're done with NASCAR. Ended on a good note. Had one bet I posted. It hit. Was happy about that.
Great.
Championship didn't quite go as I had hoped or wanted, but that's neither here nor there. NASCAR's losing lawsuits right now, which just makes me smile. So I'm ready to be all in on football finally.
So, Rich, let me ask you about this first. And I feel like I've asked you about this, but it's been a little bit. Where are you with revenge narratives? Because I was just mentioning that in football, and I know that as part of Jeff Manz's content, Sandro Anello for the Cash Game Breakdown has Narrative Street, which he's chasing trends and milestones, which there's something there. But when we're in Discord and someone just says to me, Fensty, this player, revenge narrative, and he's been on 7 teams, I can't be all in on that, man. Where do you stand?
Whenever I see revenge narrative, I have a hard time not rolling my eyes immediately. Is there something to that at times? Yes, but I think it's overplayed. Stefon Diggs playing against,
Buffalo.
That made a lot of sense, right? We know who Diggs is, the type of player he is. I was buying into the Aaron Rodgers one against the Packers because I think he just wanted to beat them. But what did that really lead to? I think it's more we remember the revenge narratives because when it happens, we're like, oh, this guy went off when he shouldn't have, revenge game, right? And we forget about the other 15 that weren't.
Right.
So as a general rule, and I'm with you, when you talk about a guy that's been on 5, 6, 7 teams, I throw the revenge narratives out the window. Like, who are you having a revenge? I mean, it's one thing when Stefon Diggs left Minnesota the way he did and left Buffalo the way he did. That's different. Someone being forced out or something, I can see them playing with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. I think, if anything, we downplay the coaching revenge narratives, which really matter more, in my opinion, like Tennessee versus the Patriots a few weeks ago. I think that is more of something that we can use to lean on because I think the coaches, they will scheme appropriately. They have a real point of pride in making sure they win that game. Now, what does that mean for the individual players? I don't know. I don't know how much these players are like, I'm going to make sure I go off for 200 yards today to really show them. Like, I'm sure they want to do that every game.
Right.
So, and my cousin and I were talking about this. Football's a little different than basketball and baseball, where I think you are way more dependent on the team around you and the team you're playing to get to your numbers than in baseball, where a pitcher has total control over the ball. In basketball, the point guard is really dictating things, but you only got 5 guys on the field. If someone wants to bring up the ball and be a ball hog for 25 seconds with the clock's going on, there's nothing anybody else can do about it. In the NFL, right, if the line doesn't block for you, you're not going anywhere. You're not getting the pass off. If the defender falls down, you're going to make that big catch play and take it to the house. You're not going to stop midfield and be like, I want to get another shot to show him what I got. Like, that just doesn't happen.
Right. Exactly. And to me as well, what that does in the DFS world, it drives up ownership too.
Yeah,
it does. And that's, it could be a middle of the road player that has a big mouth and their ownership will be sky high because of the revenge narrative. But they've been on 5 other teams, 3 of which he left on good terms, 2 on bad terms. Dude, we have too much track already. Okay. We can't track everybody's flights. Okay. That's not
emotional standing. I mean, let's be honest. This is all based on mental anguish, right? Mental aptitude. We have if we were good at that, we'd be better about picking quarterbacks for NFL teams.
1,000%. 1,000%. It's just, that's why it's like, I get that a lot. And I understand people want to make these things fun and add that little extra cherry on top, but we can't let that mess with our emotions to the point where now it's messing with our analysis, messing with our strategy. So let me ask you this, Rich, with it being trade deadline yesterday, Jakobi, Meyers, and Jacksonville, we've talked a bunch about just, it's kind of in some of these teams, hodgepodge of receivers at this point. Now, Travis Hunter's out of the way. Jakobi Meyers has wanted to get dealt for the last few months from this squad. So now he's joining Parker Washington, Brian Thomas as well. Who do you think, what do you think of the fit, and who do you think on Jacksonville gets impacted the most with Meyers there?
I don't think it changes anything. Hunter's down, and likely for the year. So I think Meyers is the pseudo fill-in at receiver for Hunter, is what I see it as. And I'll be honest, I really don't want action on Shane Waldron receivers. Parker Washington is still intriguing to me because we're seeing some of that volume, and he kind of works in the area of the field where Trevor Lawrence has some success. Trevor Lawrence is a problem, in my opinion. I don't know that this, if anything, was this trade because Brian Thomas is more hurt than we realize and Hunter is hurt. I don't know that this really moves the needle much. I don't know that this moves the needle for Meyers. I don't know if this just really changes what's going on. We were wanting more volume for Thomas as it was. I don't know that that's going to change it. Does this maybe open him up a little more because Meyers is a better receiver than Hunter? Maybe. Is he a better receiver than Hunter? Hunter finally had a big game, and now we don't really get to see what that means until next year.
Right.
Where Parker Washington, people are like, oh, there goes Parker Washington shares. Does it? Does Jakobi Meyers move to the slot and Parker?
No, he's not. We're actually seeing reports. Right. We're seeing those reports.
That's what I'm saying. I saw people comment on that. I'm like, guys, Parker's not leaving the SWAT.
He's not.
Meyers is going to be outside. So is Meyers replacing Thomas or Hunter, depending on the injuries, is how I see it. And I've never been impressed with Dyami Brown, so that doesn't move the needle for me either. So I'm still grabbing Parker Washington if I'm desperate. I think there's some value there. I'm still hopeful Brian Thomas turns it on a little bit, but go back and look at Shane Waldron receivers everywhere he's gone. I feel like that's the common denominator. So there's a reason I didn't get action on Jacksonville receivers this year.
Yeah, and seeing where Thomas was going, especially, I just couldn't do it, man.
I couldn't do it.
I just couldn't do it. I was like, wow, you know what, Rich? You know what happens, man? When I'm seeing Brian Thomas go at 12, 13 overall in that area, and I'm just so not interested, I start to wonder, am I the problem? I'm clearly missing something here. No, I'm not. We're putting trust into Trevor Lawrence here as a first, second round. That's what kept hitting me in the head with Jacksonville. And then we're trying to make stuff out of Strange. And then all of a sudden, Tootin, is he going to be something consistent that we can rely on as maybe a flex? ETN, we love the volume, but what's he going to do with it? Dude, this entire team is, and there are a few teams like this, one big ball of fantasy confusion.
I go back to, when has Shane Waldron been an OC and we haven't had the exact same complaints? Show me one team where he was the offensive coordinator and we didn't have the exact same complaints about that team. I couldn't find one, Fensty. I couldn't. The same issues we have with Jacksonville, and then let's even take the Trevor Lawrence challenge out of it, which is its own animal, its own issue. There's problems there. But even if you take him out of it, it's the same headaches. Caleb Williams looks better. Does Trevor Lawrence look better with a different OC? I don't know. We've seen enough of them that I'm not sure I can go that route. But I tell you what, Ben Johnson's done something right. And here's the thing, Liam, that was part of why you were brought over here. Are you giving too much control to Waldron in this offense and not enough of your own staple in it on what you built in Tampa Bay? Because this is not the same offense in Tampa Bay.
Right. It's him going to Jacksonville. It's an eye roll. That's really what it is to me. It's an eye roll, but you're onto something with Parker Washington and those targets getting protected. There's a chance he could still be in that 8 to 10 target range most games. Maybe not 12 to 15, but 8 to 10.
That's a lot of volume for a receiver, man. How many receivers are getting that on a weekly basis? Chase, Jefferson.
Any. Yeah.
Seriously, you were talking about a handful. A.J. Brown's approaching that, and everybody hates him.
Right. It's because you know what? At the end of the day, they're not focusing on that. He's getting thrown to. He's getting the attention. They're focused on point total at the end of it.
That drives me nuts, man. I've gone round and round. My cousin's finally come around on that, but it drives me nuts. I'm like, don't you want points? Points are what make the difference. Points aren't predictable.
Right.
Points are fluky. When you get 6 points for a touchdown and the rest of your points barely add up to 6 points, that's a massive swing. If that's the case, and I'll quote Jeff Manns on this, if you're that confident in knowing who's going to score, go chase prop TD bets because they pay so well.
Right.
They pay well because they're not predictable.
It's crazy, man. It's again, chasing the targets so big right here. By the way, we're not Dallas sending us a trade here. I just found this interesting. I got Jordan Love starting quarterback and Cortland Sutton sitting on my bench. Should I trade Love and Sutton for Drake May and DK Metcalf? Okay.
So my question to you, not Dallas, how does this help your team?
Right.
I mean, Sutton is an easy starter. I'm starting Sutton over DK every week and twice on Sunday, every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Now, is Drake May an upgrade from Love? 100%, without a doubt. And if you think the upgrade at quarterback is going to be your difference maker, have at it. But don't forget, week 14 bye for Drake May.
Yeah.
So now you're going to be scrambling for quarterback at a very crucial time. To me, this is a lot more of exchanging of pawns than it is actually upgrading your roster.
Right.
I don't want the downgrade at the receiver. I'll go stream quarterback. Go get Brissett. Go get Darnold. Go get Penix. Go get, I mean, we loved Love 2 weeks ago, and now we hate him. And I get the hate. I understand the concern. But we loved him just 2 weeks ago. And he is still like QB 13 or 12 on the year. So if you really want May, fine. And DK goes on your bench and you're happy with it, you don't need our approval for it, but it's not a trade I'd be making personally.
I try not to be as concerned with the week 14 bye because, I mean, with what we've seen from Drake May, pretty consistent all year. And a top finisher too, which does make up for the points. But like you're saying, the receivers, you're making this trade for May. And it also, like you're saying, if people are that concerned with the bye, depends where he is in the standings, too. If he's in first or second place and a game away from locking up a spot, then I'd be more willing to make that trade than if you're in the thick of it right now and you've got a bunch of 5 and 4s and 4 and 5s competing, 6 teams competing for 2 or 3 spots, then that's something to think about.
See, I'm a little more concerned on the week 14 bye because of the number of teams on bye. We're going to get real thin on just filling rosters that week. So if you're in the playoff hunt, that is a do or die game for you. To your point, if you're in a good spot, it's not a do or die game. I'm fine with it. But a lot of these questions we get, they're 3 and 6, they're 4 and 4, whatever it is, 5 and 4. That week is going to be crucial for most people. There are, I believe, 6 teams on bye that week.
There are 4. I have it up right now. There's the Patriots, the Giants, the 49ers, and the Panthers.
So at least most people aren't using Bryce Young. Mac Jones, Brock Purdy, it's been going back and forth. But not having Dart, not having May, May's a lock and load starter and Dart's a weekly streaming guy. Now what do we do? I am a little concerned about week 14 because I know what's going to happen. We ran into this last year. People are going to have multiple people on bye. Stevenson, Henry, I guess with the Giants, in all fairness to the 4 teams you talked about, there's a lot with all the injuries, there's a lot of guys that aren't going to be playing. So it's not as much of a bye-mageddon as it looked like 3 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
But I hate having to manage around and handcuff my roster the week before the playoffs start. Like that, for me, it all comes down to the roster build. That's why I was grabbing Pitts after week 5. That's one position I don't have to manage around for the rest of the year, right? It's the floor's locked for me. I'm good. I grabbed Seattle 2 weeks ago's defense after the bye. I am riding Seattle's defense until my face falls off. Why? I trust the defense. Defenses are fluky. I like riding one that I feel I can lean on. Their bye is done. That is, if I don't have to manage around QB, tight end, defense, and kicker on bye weeks, that is a huge roster benefit from my perspective.
You know who I've been messing with in one of your leagues? I want to just bring up these stats here. You'll like this for defense and having just a defense that you didn't pay the extra $1 or $2 in your auction for or anything like that. But I actually have been riding the Browns.
I get it.
And dude, I'll take, bro, it's obviously we want the double digits, but I'll take 7 points, 9 points here. So, and
I'm with you. And I tell you what, that is a great defense for this weekend
because they're facing the Jets that
just like we love the Browns when they face the Dolphins. I mean, in all fairness, Fenty, over the last 3 weeks, you've got the Jets, the Dolphins, and then even last week it wasn't that terrible.
No, they got 9 points.
Right. And they play in an area off the lake where the weather
in week 8 they
things?
got 9 points against the Patriots. We were talking all about Drake May and all that and how potent that offense is. And for them to still cash in 9 points on the division leader at the time, that's actually pretty impressive. So with that right there, still looking at some of these options here, Rich, let's talk about the other trade that went down. And that was Rashid Shaheed going to the Seattle Seahawks. What are your thoughts on that?
Not as huge for fantasy purposes. We probably see less volume for Shaheed now than what we saw in New Orleans, because now you've got a more established running game, even though it's been lackluster at times. They're still going to force it. You've got a stud in JSN, and it's not going anywhere. You've got an emerging talent in Horton or Cooper Kupp, both of which are going to see some volume. Where I see Shaheed bringing in, Shaheed brings them the field stretcher they didn't really have. That's what he is. You're going to get your 3 to 4 targets, probably deep shots. He is going to be a boomer bust fantasy play from a Seattle standpoint and a Sam Darnold standpoint. Giddy up. This does nothing but help make the Seattle defense or offense much more dangerous, much more balanced.
Yes, and it's funny. We got a question right here. Someone who lost Daniels. Just very unfortunate, man, with what we've seen from the Commanders this year, coming off that NFC Championship appearance. It's just me being in the DC area, especially after the old ownership group left and everything like that, them turning over a new leaf. And then they got old. Everyone's getting hurt. Daniels is hurt. McLaurin is hurt. Everyone's hurt. It just stinks. And that's where this question comes in: Mariota versus Darnold the rest of the way. I mean, you're thinking that with what you just said, that Darnold's in a good spot.
Without it's not even close for me. With these two options, Darnold is a borderline QB1 right now. He was QB 13, 14. So we're talking really should probably be on just about most leagues are rostered anyway. Yet he's only rostered in about 20-some percent, 26%. I guess he's up to almost 40. He's rostered at 38.9% right now. But he should be rostered on closer to 70 to 80%. I'm not taking a backup quarterback with a bunch of backup options. When Seattle's playing well, they've got a running game they're willing to lean on. Sam Darnold himself is playing well. And by the way, he's got the best receiver in the game right now. He's got an emerging talent, one of the most talented and smart receivers we've ever seen play the game in Cup. He's got 2 tight ends that can hurt you, whether you want to believe it or not, in Arroyo and Barner. And Barner stays on the field and blocks, so you don't know when he's going to get the ball. Give me Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold will finish the year QB 10 or better. That's my prediction.
There we go. I mean, Sam Darnold, he's had some big games here, especially as of late, too. From 24 plus in 3 of his last 4 games. You'll take that all day.
He's QB 15 on the year on a per points basis, and that's including the 3 or 4 games earlier in the year that were single digits.
Wow. There you go. So Sam Darnold, someone that you could look at for those that are losing quarterbacks right and left. For those that lost Daniels, someone that you could look to stream that could still be out there. Waivers haven't run in all leagues. The Tuesday waivers probably not out there. Wednesday waivers, although in 10-team leagues if needed, he should be out there. 12 teams, very questionable. What about this? I want to ask you because Fannin is involved in this question here. As Jeff Mans was talking about, by the way, on the Elite Sports Show, 2 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday on Fantasy Sports Radio. I mean, Jeff Mans is talking about Luke Musgrave here. No more Tucker Kraft here, Rich. For those that lost Kraft, is it now plug and play with Musgrave, or are there a few other tight ends that could be on the waiver wire that maybe you would pick up to stream for the next week or two?
So here's the problem with the Browns tight end situation. If Njoku's out, giddy up on Fannin. Unfortunately, neither of them got traded, right? So we're at the mercy of, I hate to say it, the tight end situation in Cleveland's going to vary from one week to the next, and it's going to be a split. It's going to be a worse headache than even the Ravens because both tight ends in Cleveland are outproducing the Ravens tight ends without the touchdowns. I know Mark Andrews got the 2 touchdowns, but 2 catches on 2 targets for 22 yards, not exactly something I want to target. I mean, Mason Taylor is not rostered, and he's had 5 or more targets in all but like 3 games, right? Over the last 6, I believe it is. Over the last 6, he's only had 1 game with less than 4 targets. So, likely he's getting as much volume. Fannin and Njoku, even when they both play, are getting 4 to 6 targets or more a week. Okay. I'm very lukewarm on Musgrave. And the reason so I get it. The Packers were leaning on Kraft. Musgrave isn't Kraft though. And I guess we're hoping, and Jeff would know better than me. I mean, he puts a lot more time into the nitty gritty than I do on the matchups. But is it fair to say that Musgrave getting 70% of the volume of Kraft would be reasonable or fair? Do we really expect it to be 100%? I can't get there. Is he better than the Browns guys? From a headache standpoint, sure, because you use them, you don't have to worry about it. The Browns standpoint, you're going to be guessing and second guessing yourself all the time going, did I play the right one or not? That said, the Browns tight ends have a higher ceiling than Musgrave. Musgrave probably has a better floor just because of the volatility between the Njoku and Fannin.
I'll bring up someone. I think I know what the answer is going to be. What about Theo Johnson?
I love me some Theo Johnson.
Okay, so you talk about a guy, and look, the targets have been a little bit all over the place, but now 6+ in 2 of his last 3 going up against the Bears. There should be points in this game. And the thing is with Theo Johnson, he's getting into the end zone a little bit. We'd like to see a little bit more, but for a tight end, especially if we lost one, for a 1-week start against Chicago, maybe even you can have him the next couple of weeks at Packers, week 11. Theo Johnson, someone that could get to that 10-point mark in PPR.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't have him in my tight ends options only because I went with 3 guys with lower ownership, but I do mention him when I talk about Mason Taylor. I like Theo Johnson a lot. Part of the reason I didn't list him, I know I'm biased to him. He is more athletic than he gets credit for, and he gets dogged on because of the drops. I get the drop concerns. But they've used him in the rushing game near the end zone like Tyler Warren. He's been a red zone target. I mean, Wan'Dale Robinson's not going to be a red zone target. Slayton gets the coverage. I like Theo Johnson a lot. You know, if I had to guess, Theo Johnson's probably going to be just outside of tight end 1 territory by the end of the year. But on a week-to-week basis, he absolutely has top 10 or better ceiling. I have no problem using Theo Johnson.
I got another name for you I'll bring up. Dalton Schultz.
Oh, I love me some Dalton Schultz.
Against the Jaguars, too. It's a great matchup. We know that Houston is healthier, except at the quarterback spot. We know, at least from the receiving weapons that they have, they're pretty loaded with everyone now. You know, Collins has been back, Kirk's back. But with Dalton Schultz, he's still finding a way to get those 6+ targets most weeks. And this matchup, no matter who's throwing the ball, I don't want to say there's safety there, but there are definitely worse options.
I think he needs to be rostered more. I'm kind of bummed I don't have him listed first, and it's not necessarily because of preference. In the last 4 games, Schultz has 11 points, 18.8, 4.4, 13.7. Over the season, he's been targeted 6 or more times, 5 times this season. In only 2 games has he seen 4 or less targets. The guy is seeing 5 to 8 targets a week. He is getting you on a floor basis 5 points. That's his floor. Like, only 1 game does he have less than 5 points, 4.4. The rest of the time, he's getting you 7 to 12 points. Like, I do not understand why he's not rostered more. I list him almost weekly in the streaming option because he's 20 to 30% rostered, right. And that's it. If you need a tight end and you're tired of the headache, their buy is done. Just use Schultz and move on. Doesn't matter if it's C.J. Stroud or Davis Mills. Who,
but by the Rich, you're stupid. He doesn't have 25-point upside, Rich. What are you doing?
You know what? I want someone to define what upside is. Define for me what upside is, because everybody chases it, but no one can tell me specifically what upside is.
You want to know what I do, man? It's when it comes to this type of situation where now I just lost my skilled tight end that's been putting up double figures. Even if they average, let's say, 15 fantasy points per week, I'm just looking for someone to get me to that 10. It's weird to think about. And yeah, in half you want a little bit more than that. But in PPR, if my replacement gets to 10, I'm like, okay, even if that means they finish, I don't know, tight end 13, which 10 points probably not going to happen 99% of the weeks outside of National Tight Ends Day, I'm fine with that. People are like, oh, 10 points, if only they got 20. 10 points is fine.
You know what? Someone polled, I saw it on Twitter. Someone polled, do you know how many guys have scored RB1s this year, have scored 20 points or more? And it was like 5 times. That's
wow.
It. Now, this was a few weeks ago, so I'm sure that number's changed.
3 of them were Jonathan Taylor.
Right. So, I mean, you know, this idea, first of all, when it comes to head, and I can't seem to get this through to people, you want floors, not ceilings. Everybody can have a big ceiling. What I want is the consistent floor because I can build around that. What you just described at tight end is a good consistent floor. Getting a tight end that gets you double-digit points weekly may not be a massive advantage from a head-to-head standpoint, like a Kelsey of 2 years ago or what have you, but you don't get beat at that position.
Right.
So if you do what you're supposed to at all the spots, that's all you need. And greed is a 7 deadly sin. It's one of the 7 deadly sins. Don't be greedy. Be smart. Go get the floors and be savvy with it. That's why I'm really blown away about Dalton Schultz. He should be owned in 80% of Ross leagues right now, man.
Yeah, I mean, multiple leagues with people, some of them that have been playing for over 15 years, some that are leagues that have analysts in there, and he's still out there. It's just wild to see. So it's just, that's someone that you can absolutely look to get. We get caught up in when you lose the player that's averaging 18 to 20 points, you must make up that 18 to 20 points immediately. You have to. Now, certain things are situational where it depends on how big or small your league is, how many, because I'm in a league, my family league, Rich, I've talked about this before. It's 12 teams, but it's very casual. And my cousins are hoarding 3 or 4 quarterbacks on their team, 1 quarterback league. So that when I lost Burrow, there was nobody. Maybe I could have waited for like Jaxson, Darden, all that. You know, I was streaming him a little bit, but I ended up trading for Drake May. And it's literally brought me back from last place to nearly 500 now. It's crazy.
That'll happen.
Yeah,
That'll happen.
I had to. I didn't want to do that. I had to. I didn't know how great Dart was going to be or how productive he was going to be at the time. So I went with someone who I thought I loved watching and someone who I thought would get me that 20 points every single week. And it's been a hell of a lot more than that.
Yeah. And May's been great. I mean, I had him in a casual league and was playing roulette at quarterback and don't have him. And I've gone through them all. I had Dak, I had Jones. I just kind of have fun in this league. So I just sort of cycle through them because I kind of like to prove the point. I'll figure something out at quarterback. Like I tell you what, one of the biggest pet peeves I have lately, Finsty, is when people say there's nothing on the waiver wire. There is always something. It may not be what you like, but there is always a matchup you can find. Jeff said something on air that I took to heart where he goes, I don't really worry about spending fab in this. I will find somebody Sunday morning for free. There is always a matchup somewhere. May not go as well as I hope, but there is always something somewhere. And I maintain that. And I think we focus far too much on start sits. We focus far too much on who I want the rest of the season. We don't understand that play in the now with a lean to what might happen in the future. And don't get hell bent that you're set. You're never set. You take it. It's a lot more like poker than people want to admit.
Right. No, it's true. It's true. Rich, what's coming up for you on fantasyguru.com today?
Well, streamer article will be out shortly. Rob's working on it. Thank you, Rob. It's a little behind, and I forgot to email it to you, so my apologies there, Finsty. So that'll be out. Buy, sell, cuts already out. Start sit will drop Friday. Morning, afternoon. I'd like to remind everybody, I base it off Jeff's rankings. There are some of my leans in there, some of my personal gut shots. Start there. If you are specifically wanting my takes in Discord on start sits, start with that article. I'll be more than happy to talk strategy and everything else. But my leans, my gut shots, they're all in there. And if you don't trust those, you don't trust the rankings, by all means, feel free to go with what you want to do. We all started playing this game because we thought we were better than somebody else at it.
Right.
So have some confidence in yourself if that's what you want.
Rich Maletto at Fantasy Bosco. Don't follow him on X, although you can a little bit more lately, but make sure you go to fantasyguru.com, follow all of his work. A lot of football content now. NASCAR just ending. Rich does a great job with racing, which, by the way, is part of our Fantasy Guru MVP plan that you can sign up for. Again, everything that we have to offer except for football and except for baseball. All the other sports, betting, DFS, that right there is all that is included. Want to thank everybody for hanging with us here on Fantasy Sports Daily. Ray Flowers back tomorrow, same time, same place. Elite Plus Network, noon Eastern, Fantasy Sports Daily tonight. Watch along Wednesday for all you basketball fans out there in the DFS NBA Discord channel. I'll be there hanging out, just reacting to the games. That's really what we do because we're learning about these teams. I'll have bets up later. I'll have the DFS NBA write-up, and then from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern, it's all Discord, baby. Make sure you get yourselves in there. For Rich Maletto, I'm Justin Fensterman. It's Fantasy Sports Daily right here on the Elite Plus Network, powered by the good old